Hello and good afternoon, Colorado. Hope everyone is having a great summer. We have so many great organizations joining us today, and we're going to wait one more minute or so for more people to join. And just let you know, the Uber Eats code was sent out this morning. Did everyone else get to use their Uber Eats code? If you haven't been able to use the code yet, it should be still good to use, I believe, Thursday afternoon. And let me know, we do have our Q&A box, what you're ordering for lunch, or if you have any upcoming summer plans. So we're in California, and what we're gonna have for lunch, I think it's La Boulangère. It's like sandwiches. If you have like Boudin in Colorado, we typically get like a make your own sandwich kind of buffet. So different cheeses, meats, and breads. Let me see what's in the Q&A box. I got someone ordering a burrito, a carne asada burrito. We got pizza. We got tacos, ramen. That's really good. We have a lot of ramen spots in the Bay Area. Oh, nice. More tacos at Torchy's. I've never heard of it, but I will definitely look up that if it's like a chain or if it's something really big in Colorado. Watermelon salad, that's really awesome. I'm seeing, ooh, a Cobb salad. Yeah, this month is definitely salad season, like something light and refreshing too, especially with the hot weather coming up. We hit about the 90s here, and in August, sometimes where I'm from, it's about 100 degrees. All right, I see a couple more people have joined in, and before we get started, just wanted to go over some housekeeping. At the end of this presentation, I'll be following up with an email to provide the HRCI and shroom credits. If you have any questions today, I'll do my best to check the Q&A box and get back to you as soon as possible, as these questions will be saved. I may not be able to answer them as they come up, but should be able to address them in that follow-up email. And then if you do want any further information, feel free to respond to that follow-up email that I'll be sending with the credits. And we're also going to send a recording of the presentation you can share with your colleagues. So that'll be sent separately through Zoom in a few hours. Today, we're going to talk about Colorado nonprofits and unemployment. Before I get started, just wanted to do a quick intro of myself. My name is Janessa Ponko, and I'm the Senior Membership Development Representative here at 501c Services. I've been in sales since 2016. I was selling vendor boot space at a wedding fair for 3 years. During the pandemic, I was setting up meetings for a couple of tech startups. And currently, I've been scheduling meetings with nonprofits here at 501c Services since July 2023. And then the Image of People Bowling is our sales and some of our sales and marketing team members. Heidi Posada is my manager in the middle. You may work with her in the future. And then Evan is on the right, who works on our marketing and web development. And I'm really excited to be part of a company that's been helping nonprofits save time and money that can go towards furthering their mission. We're based in San Jose, California, so we're in the heart of the Silicon Valley, and we're dedicated to helping nonprofits reduce unemployment expenses across the nation. And thank you again for joining to learn more about cost-effective strategies and managing unemployment in your state. So we're going to provide a broad overview on how unemployment insurance works, alternatives for 501c3 nonprofits when it comes to unemployment, how reimbursing works. We're also going to use some real life examples of nonprofits we've helped with our cost analysis, and finally provide more information on our company 501c Services and how many of our Colorado nonprofits have benefited from our services. First of all, just wanted to start off with a little history to put unemployment in perspective. Unemployment started in the US in the 1930s following the Great Depression and New Deal, where the federal government wanted to create a safety net for workers who lost their jobs through no fault of their own. From 1930 to 1972, 501c organizations, they didn't pay into unemployment benefits for separate employees. Although this saved them money from paying these taxes, employees that were laid off couldn't reap the benefits of having that safety net that for-profit companies had provided. Now, fast forward to 1972, the federal government changed the law under the Social Security Act to where nonprofits must pay into unemployment, but they were provided different options in how they pay, so the tax wouldn't be an unnecessary expense for them. Unemployment is overseen on the federal level. However, each state gets to manage their own programs, however you choose. So throughout the US, you can see different taxable wage bases, tax rates, benefit amounts, but we're just going to cover information in Colorado today. And when it comes to management, unemployment rates can be adjusted annually and are adjusted by experience. So for instance, if you have a year or two of bad claims, your tax rate will increase. Most states, including Colorado, run as a risk pool. So what you're putting into that pool doesn't necessarily equate to what you're going to get out. And we are seeing a lot of nonprofits are putting more money into that than what they're actually getting out of it. And then these total tax liabilities by employers are often greater than the claims paid, with reserves used in times of the recession. And then the total tax liability is calculated by multiplying the taxable wage base by your employer tax rate. So take a guess on what a single claim can cost in the state of Colorado. So feel free to put some guesses in the Q&A box. So I got, we have 12,000, 13,100, 35,000, 15,000. Let's see, we got 24,000, 14,000, 250,000, 17,000. All right. And I see one more. I have about 10,800. So just as a hint, the total cost is looking at the weekly benefit maximum times the maximum number of weeks someone can claim. And that maximum number of weeks in Colorado is 26. So the maximum amount a single person can claim in unemployment in Colorado can cost $21,944. Just as a caveat, this is what an employer is charged for employee benefits by the state. So those extended benefits you saw during the recession and extra COVID payments, they were actually covered by the federal government. So the maximum weekly benefit amount in Colorado is $844. And when we multiply that number by 26 is how we get that $21,944 for the maximum of what a single person can claim on unemployment. And the federal government sets the wage base at a minimum of $7,000, and there's no maximum. Colorado's taxable wage base for 2025 is currently set at $27,200, which means for the first $27,200 an employee earns, your organization is taxed on that. And then the minimum tax rate is set at 0.81%. The maximum tax rate is at 12.34%, and those are also set by the state. And for the state of Colorado, there have been some increases in taxable wages over the few years, and it has been steadily increasing. And right now it's $17,000 more from 2021 to 2026. As you can see, for the year 2026 next year, the taxable wage base is going to increase to $30,600. This is important to note because with the taxable wage base growing, you'll be paying more in SUI, the state tax system, if you're not reimbursing already. And in this example, if you're an organization with 50 employees and your tax rate stays the same, each year at 5%. With the taxable wage base rising, you're now paying approximately over $42,000 more in taxes in 2026 than what you were paying in 2021. So that's over 125% increase paying into the state tax system. The last thing I want to know is the improper payment rate, which is at 8.27%. And this overpayment equates to around $100 million to former employees who are collecting unemployment from the past 3 years. This is information we get from the Department of Labor. You can see Colorado is one of the many states that's less than 10%. This is important to know as we really encourage you to look over your claims and make sure you're not overpaying for anybody's claims. And here at 501, we help organizations monitor this. But if you are managing on your own, you really want to make sure you're properly charged for a former employee's weekly benefit amount. So there are three different alternatives for unemployment. One is that you pay the state tax that we mentioned earlier with the tax rate that's set by the state in taxable wages. Another option is that you can self-insure, reimburse for your unemployment, where you just pay dollar per dollar for your unemployment claims. So you're basically only paying for the benefits issued. And then the last option is kind of a hybrid of both, where you buy insurance that offers the savings of reimbursing while also providing that safety net. Just let you know, reimbursing is not for everyone. The qualifications we look at for considering reimbursing is that an organization must be a 501c3 nonprofit. It excludes religious institutions. And we recommend a gross annual payroll of $1 million or more, because typically if your payroll is under 1 million, especially significantly less than that, what you're paying into the state tax pool is probably pretty minimal, and you might not see much savings by opting out. However, there are some scenarios where you could see potential savings, so we'd be happy to look at those numbers, even if you're slightly less than 1 million. And we also look at a positive audit of the past 3 years. So that means in order for reimbursing to work for you, or to benefit you, we try to evaluate what you paid each year in taxes exceeds what you're paying in claims. We also want to make sure that there's no major disruption in funding for the next 24 months. So we do recommend to stay with paying into SUI if you know you might have anything from layoffs, reduction in workforce, losing funds, or closing programs where your tax rates may go up with experience. And then you'll probably want to wait once those claims decrease. What it means to reimburse is that your tax rate turns to 0%, and the state will bill you only for the unemployment claims you receive over the quarter. It's a great way for nonprofits to save money and be a better steward of donor dollars. And then the process is seamless for separate employees. No matter how your employees separated, they'll still go through the same process of EDD, where the state determines their benefit amount based on the base period pay. And then the only change is how that quarterly bill is calculated. Instead of paying into the state unemployment insurance tax, you're now only responsible for any charges your organization incurs. We work with over 1,500 nonprofits across the nation, and several of them are in Colorado. So you're probably wondering what motivates them to reimburse. In most cases, reimbursing saves money. On average, savings can be anywhere from 20 to 40% compared to paying for SUI. And this is really the driver for most organizations to switch. Reimbursing also eliminates any concern of changes in the state tax, such as those tax hikes you can't control. And you become a better steward of donor dollars as you just pay for your actual claims than into the state pool. And because unemployment is managed by the federal government, big picture, reimbursing is allowed in all 50 states, best with employers with over $1 million in payroll and at least 15 or more full-time employees. If you're on the borderline, we can certainly talk, as there are some circumstances where we can consider reimbursing for your organization. And if you're smaller and reimbursing already, we can still consider you for our services and how we can help you reduce your risk. So I do want to talk about how SUI is calculated. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll show some real cost assessments that we've done in the past. So the taxable wage base is customized by each state. In Colorado, that taxable wage base, like we said earlier, is set at $27,200. All employers in the state pay the same taxable wage base. It represents the first $27,200 of an employee's earnings. There's no maximum and can increase or decrease by any amount each year. And as you saw with Colorado, it has been steadily increasing. And then the tax rate is set annually by the state and is based on experience. So to calculate the contribution amount, you multiply the taxable wage base by the tax rate. So for Colorado, it's at $27,200 times the range of 0.81% to 12.34%. This amount means that if each employee makes over $27,200, a company is paying in between $220.32 to $3,356 per employee in unemployment. And what we do to get started on a cost assessment is that we look at your tax rate notice that gives us some of the information we need for the analysis. This includes the tax rate that adds together the base rate, support rate, and solvency surcharge to get the total combined rate. As you can see in this example, the number is 1.275%. And then the total premiums paid in item 1 represents the organization's total history of claims. And item 3 represents the organization's overpayment throughout its lifetime. In this example, the organization spent over $120,000 in lifetime overpayments. And with this large amount, they may want to consider reimbursing, where they may save more by just paying for their actual claims than into the state pool. And also, just let you know, there's no need for you to know everything on this document. We would be happy to look over your numbers and see where you may potentially save. And then we have another 2 examples that will show organizations that had significantly large overpayments. And then these are organizations that we work with. And the next 2 did eventually transition to reimbursing. For this first example of a human services nonprofit we worked with, the taxable payroll was just shy of $1 million, tax rate 4.7%, estimated claims only $200 per year. And in this case, we looked at a 3-year average of claims. So they were overpaying $45,000. And think what you can do with an additional $45,000 for your organization. The second example, the taxable payroll was around $700,000, tax rate 3.38%, estimated annual claims around $5,900, and estimated unemployment taxes were around $24,000. So they were overpaying $18,000. And now a little bit more about 501c services. We were founded about 40 years ago in 1982 by former UCP executive John Huckstad. He was looking for ways to save money for his organization, so he came up with the idea of starting a trust. He created the first kind of grantor trust called the Joint Unemployment Compensation Trust that eventually became 501c Services and 501c Agencies Trust. We started at about 25 members here in San Jose, and we've now grown to helping over 3,000 nonprofits in various ways. In 2016, John sold the company back to his employees, so we're now 100% employee owned. From the receptionist to the CEO, every member is committed to our company and serving our members. And our services are valued tremendously by our members, with our company having over a 98% retention rate. And these are a couple of testimonials our members have shared, and you can go back to these later, as I'll also attach the slides after the presentation in the follow-up email. And this is a clip from our 40th anniversary celebration a few years ago that includes testimonials from Anika Lund and Mike Hoffman from Start Early, Mary Sue and Michael Eady from CISC, Sandy Leota and Chris Marshall of Baltimore Center Stage, and Phyllis Austin and Jason Penneker from Boys and Girls Clubs of America.
What makes me passionate about working for a non-for-profit organization is because I knew I always wanted to work for a mission-driven organization.
Our mission is to work with immigrant communities so that they can achieve the American dream.
501 helps focus our service to the community by giving us more time.
501 helps us focus on serving our communities by providing services directly to our HR professionals.
The biggest benefit for working with 501 is really the transparency and ability to forecast our costs when it comes to our unemployment benefits.
They also keep our cash flow steady through claims that are sound and take a lot of the admin burden off of us so we can just stay on autopilot.
We're very grateful for all the support you provided over the last 4 decades, and we wish you continued success in the future.
Congratulations, 501, on your 40th anniversary. It's been a pleasure serving with you for the last 24 years.
And like I said earlier, we work with several Colorado nonprofits. This is a quick snapshot of a few nonprofits here in the state and across the nation that are members. And just like you heard in the video, we help nonprofits relieve administrative burdens that can come with managing unemployment. The first way we help nonprofits is through claims management. Our team will help you manage, audit, and protest claims. We offer unlimited access to hearing reps, and our team has an average 80% win protest rate if you ever have to protest a claim. And you will have a dedicated claims manager once you become a member of our trust. And all your claims will go through this online portal where you'll be notified that a claim has been filed. So you go into the portal and respond to the questions. And if in any case you go on PTO and forget to delegate these kinds of unemployment tasks, it shouldn't be a problem for when a claim isn't responded to in several days. It gets escalated and handled. A big part of our claims management is that our team doesn't want to see your organization overpay or get hit by those Colorado error rates. So we can audit those charges for you or prevent you from paying for a claim when someone gets terminated. We want to make sure that you're managing these claims and also have enough support to do so. Our HR services include 3 components. We offer access to unlimited HR consultations. We're a small dedicated team that can answer any of your HR related questions. So if you ever have an ongoing issue, you can develop rapport with the person who can support you and manage any of your questions. Our HR services have trainings throughout the year that are HRCI and SHROOM certified, and there's also an online knowledge library with our HR services. With the $844 maximum weekly benefits here in the state of Colorado, our goal is to help you keep that cost as low as possible. So if you ever lay someone off, we have our reemployment tool. It offers packages that can range from online coaching, interview techniques, and resume writing. It's never fun to let someone go, but at least you can give them the safety net and resources to help them secure a new job faster, which in return can help your organization save more money. And then we also have our protection part of our program. Let's see. And that's the insurance part of our program. And most of our members take our stop loss protection, which helps our members during catastrophic claims. Other than catastrophic claims, for managing the highs and lows of unemployment, we have the trust and savings account. This is a reserve account owned by your organization where you could save for those possible unexpected number of claims. So I hope this sparked your interest in maybe some of you may want to manage your unemployment through us as a reimbursing employer. If you wanted to look into potential savings and get a free cost analysis, what I would need from you is your 941s or estimated payroll as a reimburser. And if you are paying SUI, I would need a copy of your recent 2025 tax rate notice. And then it would also be helpful if you do have your 2023 and 2024 tax rate notices, so we can also look at additional data points for you. So I'm looking at the Q&A box. I currently don't see any questions, so I will stay on for another minute or so. Otherwise, I will be signing off and sending the follow-up emails that'll include the copy of the slides and credits in the next few hours. And if you are typing a question as I log off, please feel free to also respond with the follow-up email that I'll be sending. And thank you again for watching this presentation, and looking forward to speaking with some of you soon. And also for the state of Colorado, we are going to be in Denver and Colorado Springs, and that'll be, so Denver is going to be Tuesday, August 26th at the Butterfly Pavilion. Both of them are breakfast seminars that are from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. And here are the topics that we cover. We go a little bit more into unemployment for both of them. And also we have an employment law update and forecast for Denver. Colorado has a financial compliance and operational transparency in the nonprofit sector. And if you are interested in signing up for these, let me know in the follow-up email and I can RSVP you. And for Denver, there are tickets to also go to the Butterfly Pavilion. So let me know in the email if you're interested in joining us. And then you'll also be able to check out the event space as well. And it looks like I have one question. Is this service best for any particular company size? So from the beginning of the presentation, we do recommend that you do have a gross annual payroll of about $1 million or more. So you can see more potential savings if you become a reimburser. If you're like a little bit under $1 million, it should be okay. But typically, if you're significantly less than that $1 million number, we recommend to still stay with the state tax system, as you won't be getting as much savings as someone that has a larger organization. Also, in the presentation, we said at least 15 or more full-time employees to also see more savings, but we can still look at your numbers, see if there might be some potential savings, and see if reimbursing might be a fit. So it would also just depend on what the cost analysis says and what we would recommend after the cost analysis. So it looks like you are on the borderline. We are over $1 million, however, only 12 employees. You're close to that 15 mark. I suggest definitely, if you are, whether you're reimbursing or paying into the state tax system, to provide that information for the cost analysis. So what I do is when you send that over, so in the follow-up email, I'll provide instructions on the stuff to send for the cost analysis. And then I send that over to my manager, Heidi, and she'll create a proposal and go over those numbers with you and see if reimbursing is the next step, if you're into the state tax system, or if you're reimbursing already and want to use us as a third party to help manage your claims. All right. So it looks like, and also for those questions, I will also type them in a follow-up email in case like I talk too fast or anything. I also will be sending a separate email for the questions that you put in the Q&A box. Thank you so much. And yes, if you do want to join us next month, we will be live in person for the breakfast seminars, Butterfly Pavilion, and Colorado Springs. Feel free to reach out to me. Let me know in the follow-up email. And thank you so much again, everyone, and hope everyone has a great day.